Afternoon, students. Welcome to our contract class for social science 2, which we need to just facilitate your and also try to set a very good communication and a very good way of answering questions and all that, so that we can actually start working together as we try to complete our assignments and exam and throughout the whole course. Right, my name is Benjamin Nathanael. I'm the tutor for this course, and you can also see my details are there. I'll also provide them at the end of the presentation. Right, my understanding should be that most of you taking social science 2 are still or already took social science 1. So this presentation is more or less giving the same. What is interesting here is that when you come to social science 2, the focus changes a bit, because now the focus is toward sort of grade 6. So that's how the program is devised. So how to teach, so it's a bit of an elevation when you're at social science 2. But like I said, here we just want to communicate, to establish a communication between us, and also give discuss possible ways of answering questions in the assignment, and also guide the way you do things. So let's start with the general information about the module. So this module is part of the course called Bachelor of Education Senior Primary, and I understand that must be a course that you have enrolled for. And this course, the whole course, consists of 547 credits, and this module has only 14 credits. It doesn't mean that it's very small. You have a lot of other modules that each and I mean the total of those, the sum of those credits for each module, then make up that 547 for all the for the whole course. So the national hours for this course is actually basically the number of hours you need to put in, the effort you need to put in. So generally each credit requires 10 hours, so that makes 140 for 14 credits, and this is offered for semester 2. Remove that one, and the mode is distance. Okay, the assessment, the assignment that we have to work on now consists of 130 marks, which will be 50%. I mean, which will require 50% for you to get through to the exam. And when you have done with that, then that's when you can write your examination, which is 3 hours, where either in April, that's April 2018, or August 2018, depending on the choice, because when you write your assignment, the earlier you finish it, the better. So I know many students skip, even when I mark examinations for, assignments for that are coming in January. They are quite few, because students, I think, prefer late than earlier, but that practice is not very useful. Try always to complete your assignment on time, or at the first phase. Now, if you don't finish it that time, probably, then you have still more time to work on it. But the earlier, the better. So try always to opt for April examinations, and not later, because you might, miss all. So the exam will also consist of 130 marks paper, which will also require 50% pass mark. So 50% of that 130 should be 65, and then now the final marks that will come in your transcript will be the 60% of your exam, and the 40% of your CA, and then that the sum of that of the two brings or gives you your final marks. The assignment information here is also, I think the due date is not put here. Okay, the due date is, I will talk about the due date. The due date the assignment, it's also on your assignment there that the first due date is 15 January for you to qualify for April exam, or 15 July or 15 June to qualify for August examination. So like I said, I strongly suggest that do your work early, set your own due date, which is earlier than the set due date here on your so try to work on a good pace. Don't start later when you see that everything is now late. That's when you start rushing in. So start now. I would be very willing to help people who start already asking me questions about clarification about this question even just next week. So then I'll be seeing the pace of your assignment, and then I can also see that you are working well toward the assignment. And even when you finish on time. Your assignment get marked on time. You prepare for your exam on time, and you do everything. And these things are good when you do them on time. The general setup of the assignment is more or less like this, like the social science one, just that in section A here, map work is added to section A. That is combined now with general methodology in social studies. Okay, and then section B is still history, and section C is on geography. But when we're talking about geography now in this section, it's a bit elevated, so that it include a few more things about even population and I should tell you that geography, for example, if you go to follow it to a high level, it's a big and open subject. You can have social geography, you can have physical geography, and then there's still small tributaries out of that, where you have let me say political and economic and settlement geography and population. So there's a lot of stuff. So in social science too, we want to introduce our learners to have quite a good understanding of geography, which is more just about the people and the environment at this time. What do we do to the environment as people, and also based on our culture, based on our history, how do all these things make us behave in some way. So an assignment out of 130, and you need a pass mark of 50. So that already was reflected earlier on. The same information that I put here is just to emphasize on the one that you should read, pay more attention to, but it doesn't mean that they supersede the ones on your assignment cover. All those information matters. That's why they are put there. Try please to read through your assignment cover before you set a paper on any answering sheet. Before you set a pen on any answering sheet, try to read and understand thoroughly your assignment cover, the instruction there. And even when you ask me about a question on an assignment cover, even just tomorrow, my phone is there. But I'm also proposing that we come up with a WhatsApp group. As for each social science that I take, I want us to have a group where we have only those members for that group, and try to be so interactive, because I've seen in the previous year, or the few years that I've been teaching, that the communication is not that much, because we don't know what others are doing. But I think if we have a group, it's easy also to know what others, and how many are we in the course, and this kind of information. I should emphasize on bullet number 5 about correct use of terminology, that I have seen in most cases where the terminology, we have those words that are specific to social science. Try to have more of those words than using the general prose, the general way of talking. So as you read through your study guide and other references that I'll provide here, and also that you have to go search for yourself, you can also see the kind of language that is that's prevailing in the subject, then using the normal everyday English that we use here. So correct terminology will earn you marks. Let's get to the structure of basic education. As in social science 1, social science 2, we are still also in upper primary, and the focus is just one grade above. So we are going to teach the 6th grade. I mean, the focus of this module is for when you're going to teach the 6th grade. Like I said, you are not any part at any part of any other, but you are sort of the backbone of the structure of basic education, because you are transforming the knowledge from pre-primary and lower primary into junior secondary and senior secondary. So you are sort of the backbone of this structure. Okay, this and other information we need to get them. Please note this down, is very important, because it gives you all the information that you need as you do the structure of basic education. Go Google this document, National Curriculum for Basic Education 2010. We can also, if we implement our WhatsApp group that I'm proposing at the end, also I'll also upload that document on the thing, and then you just download it and put it to your laptop or desktop, or whatever you are using. There's a lot of information that we need to read in that document, which also include the need for social science in the whole education curriculum. So and that also, for example, the assessment methods and all those things, apart from them being in your study guide, there's a lot of information that we need to take from the national curriculum for basic education. So I strongly suggest that you get yourself this document. Just it's available on NIED website, but even if you just Google, you can get it. If you don't get it, please let me know, so that we all have this document as social science potential or prospective teachers. Right. This same is an extract from the very same document I'm talking about, the National Curriculum on Basic Education. We just also to emphasize on the teaching medium that is English and other tongue, but what we want actually at this time is actually to develop learning skills and basic knowledge in natural sciences, social sciences, technology, arts, and physical education. So depending on what area you want to take, this is really what the focus of upper primary should be, as we respond to the national needs. Okay, so what is really now, how do we fit ourselves in the whole education system? We know that we are not working in isolation. At the social science level, you are trying to, there's a gap. So this whole area, or the social science area, it's probably responding to the biggest gap, or the biggest area of education, which is the way we are as people, and how are we shaped by our environment, and how do we shape our environment, how did our history come bring us to this type of behavior, and why do we do this, how does the ecosystem respond to our acts and all that. So I like to give the example of world population. For example, if one of you, for example, have to Google the population for China, it's a little over the population of the whole Africa, and that's a country, and this is a continent. So how, for example, do our population influence our well-being? Do we need a bigger population to be more visible? Do we need a bigger population to have stronger economic or to have a higher economic strength? And what is the purpose, for example, of having a governance at different level? Not you have the governance at your country level, or at your country's level, at your regional level, but then you also have another one at, for example, at a SADC level, or at African Union level, or at United Nations level. So just a week ago, there was the 72nd or 3rd of the National Assembly, the UN National Assembly, try to follow the outcomes of this assembly and see what are the pressing global issues. Of course, climate change is one now. We have a lot of migration, people migrating, some dying in road to other countries where they think there is a better livelihood, and then we have people through that migration, people becoming refugees, and all these other things. So it's only when we understand these contemporary social issues, whether in Namibia, I think I forgot to add something on technology here. I don't know if it's here. It's very, very important. These are just a small thing that I just put on to bring it to perspective. What do we need to be thinking as we teach our students at social science too, for actual learners? I find it difficult to know which are students, but I still believe that at this stage of learning, they are still learners. You guys are students. That's why I'm watching. Okay. So the area of focus again here, it's just to reflect on what, based on the previous students, what are the areas, especially when writing assignments or and even exams, that most learners commit. This area, despite it being in your study guide, I presume all of you have the study guide for social science too. That should be the basis for your learning, but still do not only focus on that as to confine yourself in that box. So try to open up, read reports, go to the office of the Prime Minister, the website, not physical. If you want, you can go physical, but go to the website, OPM office, go to the National Planning Commission website, go to the website for National Statistics Agency, go to the website of the Office of the Ombudsman, so where we can get national documents that are very, very, very important, so that we can keep in touch with the real situation that's going on in the country. Go beyond that, go to SADC website. You find all the important information that we need there. Go to the United African Union website, just for you to get really the whole governance thing, the whole country. Where do we want? Go read Africa Agenda 2063, so that you see what are the aspirations. Read our Vision 2030. Read our NDP 5. Read all these things. It's not that you should be reading them all at once, but some can also be a reference to others. So once you start to develop this appetite of reading national document and global documents, it takes you a few months. You find out that you are now reading something that you already read before, because these documents are always interrelated. Our national development plan, for example, NDP 5, that is now we are trying to implement, despite us having the shortage in budget or whatever. We should still do a little with what we have to implement our NDP 5. But if you compare the NDP 5 with the African Agenda 2063 document, you find out that we are trying to align our national development plans to African development plans. And even in Africa, we are also trying to link our goals to global aspirations set in documents and at organizations like United Nations and its other agencies like United Nations, UNESCO. That's UNESCO. You have all other many United Nations, UNDP. So the essence here, or the salient part of this, is try to be so much open, because as you go through other social sciences, you'll be asked questions, because I give it so I know what you expect there. You'll be asked questions on contemporary issues. How do this reflect on that? How do that do all that? So I forgot to highlight the one other website you should be visiting is the website of the Namibia Meteorological Services, so that we are all we are acquaint ourselves with the weather related information, how to collect weather data and interpret it and all those things. So the source below here is just to give us more information, because I just chose those three keywords: illustrate, justify, and discuss, for the purpose of this module, but we have enough, maybe over 20 something of them. So we need to visit that website, but also they are on your study guide, but I have sent this as a good explanation for them. Let's say justify require an answer that gives only the reason for a position of argument. Answer the main objections likely to be made of them. Note, however, that the proposition to be argued may be a negative one. So if I say, do you agree with this, you need to agree, yes, and support your stance or your position by justifying or by presenting reasons or arguments that support that. Whether you say yes or no, give reasons that support your position. Of course, I've seen in many students in previous examinations or assignments who go both ways. Say, was the only the plan beneficial to Namibia in some way, or was it only, for example, did it only have negative effects, or did it have positive effects? Now you find out that somebody go both ways. It shouldn't be that way. So if you feel like you want to support one side of that, support it and present arguments, so that notwithstanding that that other benefits are also, or other arguments might also be supported. But now that you took one stance, please stick to that and just support it. When it comes to map work, that's now for geography. I still want to introduce you to two documents, actually three, including the website, but I have already talked about the website for Namibia Statistics Agency. What I want is just to, because Namibia Statistics Agency present enough statistics about the population stats and characteristics in Namibia. We also have this atlas for Namibia population. It's a document that I also have personally, but if you can't get it from this website, it's supposed to be, you just type in Horizon, it will link you to type Horizon in your Google search or whatever search engine you're using. It will lead you to that website, and then you just look for this book. You can find it. Alternatively, you can simply just look for this document yourself, and it will lead you to that website again. Right. In your social science 2, the last section, you will come across writing an essay, and that's very, very important. I've always maintained that these four critical parts of the essay shouldn't in any way be compromised with. And all the questions that have an essay sort of answering format always indicate that follow the structure for an essay, which should consist of a title, an introduction, the body, and the conclusion. So I will be providing, I think through email or through, that's why I said we have to create something that will be providing some of this document to each other. We'll be providing some hints on essay writing. For example, what are the characteristics of a title? In fact, it's very, very I don't know, for the lack of a better word, I would say it's very, very disturbing to have a student writing an essay without a title. I would just imagine how will I start reading your essay, and the title in most cases is already embedded in the question. So it's a matter of reading that question very well and extract the title that you can put as your title. And the title always carry, in my essays, in my own case, it always carry 2 marks depending on if it's right. If it's not right, you probably get 1 just because you provide a title. But if it's a good title that responds to the rest of the body of your essay, that's when you have to get the full 2 marks. introduction, I normally give around 5 marks for the introduction. Introduction should be talking about what do you want to know, how will you be talking about. So you have to give a brief reflection of the problem that you're going to write about. So if we say danger of in communication technology or danger of social media to people in grade 2 or to students in grade 6, you have to write a brief a line or two that talk about now currently there has been observed repercussion or bad or consequences that accrue from younger children and exposure to social media and all those things. So there must be a sentence or a statement that lead your reader to what you're going to talk about. And then we'll continue now. What are you going to do in this essay? In this essay, you are going to talk about the potential danger of this media to or that, and how our country should deal with it, for example. And then you say, I will start by this, because your introduction should now reflect on how you want to do your essay. What will you do? I will start by giving a few statistics on whatever. So the purpose to have the introduction is to introduce the body of the essay, and that should be normally one paragraph. Restrict your introduction to one paragraph, but make certain that your introduction reflect the rest of the body. Now the rest of the body should consist of now the real problem. So if you say in your introduction you're going to work on 1, 2, and 3, so each for the body, then number 1 should be carried in paragraph 1 of the body, number 2 for everything to respond to whatever was said in your introduction. And each paragraph should have now these 3 important characteristics. It must have a topic sentence. That's the sentence that open that paragraph, because that is just the main idea of that paragraph. So it is carried in the topic sentence, and then you have several supporting sentences. So your topic sentence is like an umbrella, and then you have like a hat. Each essay should have sort of a topic sentence, which is like a hat of your essay, and then you have supporting sentences. Let me say you have supporting sentences, let me say 4 of them, trying to respond to that whatever you put in your essay topic sentence. And then you have sort of a concluding sentence or statement that now conclude that you are not done with that main idea in one paragraph. You continue with the second paragraph talking about another completely different idea, but it's linked by what you said in the introduction. And maybe you come to the third paragraph if you have a lot of ideas to talk about, even 4 if you have really a lot of ideas to talk about, and then you have a concluding paragraph, a completely concluded paragraph, which is now talk about, in this essay I have talked about this, and of emphasis is this and this and this. So for our country to do this, to achieve this, more attention should be paid to this. Like, just to conclude. Conclusion paragraph also you normally carry 5 marks. Now in your because this is an essay going to be written in assignment, you probably have to read a few documents, and then you also provide the reference to those documents, which will give you 4 marks. But it depends on how many sources did you read. It's always a good practice to read as many sources as you can, but I normally restrict my students to 5 sources. As long as you have 5 sources in your references that you have consulted or have read to come up with all these things in your essay, that's sufficient for me. But you can have as many as you can depending on how many things you read. But it also teach you how to reference and how to cite. So there is one document that I would like us to follow when we are doing our citation and the referencing. It's called APA, American Psychological Association Manual. It has a chapter completely on citation. It has a chapter on referencing, because referencing have different formats. So we cannot reference only following one format. But this is not a purely English study. But this is just to say, because I'm going to write an essay in this module, pay attention to that. Then we emphasize on one area that has always been ignored by many students. That's academic dishonesty. We have that culture of ignoring this, but one day it can get you a zero mark, because if you, for example, copied something from a website, in fact, some people copy even links, website links, and even you can see from the paper that the font has changed, because we even forget to change the font because we were too fast. So try to do your work earlier so that you don't fall in some of these pits. So try to do your work ahead of time. But getting back to plagiarism, I hope you can see this text, but I have also the whole document where this is from, but it's also said emphatically in your study guide. Please refrain from this practice. It's really a bad academic practice. We don't recommend anybody, in fact, we discourage anybody trying to take that approach. Right. As we conclude our presentation, I've always been talking about communication there. So here the course coordinator for this for Bachelor of Education Senior Primary is Ms. Silvina Ningo. I would like to believe that IOL must have given you the contacts. If you want more contacts beyond a tutor, I'm just a tutor. So, but for most subject-based information, that one you get administrative and coordination questions. For subject-based, you have a question to do this and that. That's when you have to contact me. I'm also proposing that we come up with a WhatsApp group. I don't know how can I get your contacts, so that we can have one WhatsApp group where we always share information about our progress and all those things. Right. The end of our presentation. Thank you very much, and please contact me on the contacts provided. Thank you.